beginning with the interview, Mr. Prasad, can you tell me how you really began with your startup journey?
Yeah, great. Okay, anyhow, thanks for having me here. And Cogos has been a great journey for me. It's been 7 years for us. In fact, prior to this, I have been in startups most of my life. Okay, I've done brief stints in MNCs, which were startups before, but they became MNCs later in semiconductor businesses, and they were Nasdaq listed companies. And this idea actually, me and my co-founder, we were discussing out the challenges which people and businesses were facing, especially to serve the growing demand for digital commerce. Okay, then what we saw was India was at a transformation, right? This was a time around 2015 when we discussed this, and GST was being tabled at the time. Still, it was not yet introduced, but that was about to remove the barriers between the states, and people would do business only based on the strength and advantages of a location, not just because of some tax cuts. Okay, and second one is also on the digital payments aspects. Okay, and apart from that, we were seeing a big change in people moving towards smartphones, though Apple triggered it in 2007 and 8. However, for the common man, it was more with Android 1. When Android 1 actually kicked in, that's when it came. So all these were favorable conditions which were actually we are saying through. And while we saw that the logistics mostly is performed within the cities, are all performed by mom and pop independent owner drivers, and they needed the most help. So is the enterprises. So we initially thought that we will do just an application and we would probably help out people, but we realized that the service levels itself are a bit challenging in the market. So we became like a full stack and a managed marketplace. So what we do is we enter into agreements and contracts and SLAs with the customers, and we help them not just find out the right capacity from the market, but make sure that the entire operations is completed, and this is delivered as per the agreed SLAs.
All right. So I get that your business is bit different from your competitors, but I really am interested in the startup journey. How was it your first startup, or how you
Yeah.
really founded
So,
it?
great. So, as I said, I mean, as a startup, this is my fourth one. However, as my own startup, this is my second one. Okay, my first startup on my own, I did it in around 2007 time frame, 6 7 time frame. Very brief. If you remember, that was the time digital broadcasting like Tata Sky and things were coming. So we wanted to launch targeted geography based ads to a particular television using their channel, right, through the satellite channel. So that was the idea. I mean, of course, it was like targeted advertising and other things. However, the market was still in the nascent stage, so we had to drop off because we were up fighting and working with big boys. It was a bit difficult for us as a young startup. So this was 2007. There was not much support for the startups at the time. So we kind of dropped off, and then I went on to work with another startup where I was like a fourth or fifth employee, and we created an entire new display technology. And this was like called LPD, laser phosphor display. We had 150 patents and so many things. I had a couple patents there myself. Moved to US, and I worked with them in US for long. And then me and my co-founder started Cogos.
Okay, so since you mentioned that it is your second startup and fourth in a
Hmm.
group
In my
setup,
own
yeah.
journey, yeah.
So, what really inspired you to get into the startup ecosystem? Like, didn't you like the conventional job setup, or like what really motivated you to get into startup?
So when I get into the comfort zone, that's when I start thinking, hey, how do I break it? So so yes. See, startup, it. I know it's not something quite easy. I mean, some just an idea it doesn't help. You definitely need a lot of passion and others to be succeeded. What inspired me is all through my other products and journeys. Definitely, we were creating great, use solutions and others. But I was wanting to do something which impacts the at the ground level, right? So at grassroots level. So that's where we wanted to upskill, do some transformation where, like for example, if you look at India was at when we started, it was at 50s or 70s of logistics performance index, right? And we were at about 15 to 17% was our GDP spend on the logistics. So this we saw that it's booming. And what inspired was, like, I've been through the technologies, different technologies all through my life, and I thought I could add value and transform this and bring better livelihood for the people, as well as better solutions for the enterprises. So this was the inspiration for starting the company.
All right. Also, since you mentioned that your like previous startup was during 2006, 7, and now
Hmm.
Cogos is in the present times. So, how do you really compare these two eras? Because now we are, completely dependent on the
Yeah, that
technology.
was kind
Whereas,
of a .com era actually.
right,
It
.com
was,
era, and
yeah.
now we are in the AI era. So, how do
Yes.
you see the shift, and what sort of challenges did you face while making this
I
shift?
I think this is a perfect time compared to what we were before, because accessibility to information and also the connectivity has improved tremendously. Okay, and of course, we if we compare 20 years ago or at least 15 years ago, this seems to be quite advanced. But I think we're still at a very base level of all we could see in future. Okay, good and bad, both these powerful technologies bring in, and we should always look towards actually improving, the people's ability to get the things done, rather than, I'm not looking at completely replacing stuff. Yes, there may be some mundane jobs which might actually get better, but in most, I believe this stage is quite good for startups. Especially, you have access to the market, and India as a market has grown. It's not, earlier you were doing something, you had to always think, hey, how do I export? Okay. Now it's not that. You actually think, how do I do things for India? And once done for India, you can actually take it outside. So that's the difference between 2006, 7 or 5 time frame to what is there in 23.
And do you think that this sudden surge of AI is really making an impact on your business?
I think this is just a beginning of the journey. Okay, this may be a time like when iPhone introduced in smartphones, or when computers got introduced during all banking and others. Everybody protested, right? Of course, AI is, I think, in a very nascent stage, and it's always good that we have good regulations. So regulations are must, so that it would be ethical, and there is high, very much possibility that this could be utilized in pretty wrong ways also.
I will definitely come on this regulation part in the like next
Yeah, yeah,
section of
sure.
the interaction. But before that, I really want to understand from you that how you really integrate AI and Internet of Things and other such technologies in your business.
Yeah. See, on the IoT and others, it's pretty fine. Of course, this was also a boom at one point of time, right? But you can see that after a decade of the boom, now this has become accessible, and it's being employed, right? Same thing will happen with the AI part also. What we do is we integrate with all different sensor technologies, with all different platforms, so that gives an ability for the customer or even a fleet owner to not just track, but also make sure all the performance during the month, as well as on the deliveries, are all taken care of. So that is there. On the AI front, yes, we think we can do a lot more what we are doing right now. I think we're doing, like, especially on the routing side, we are doing some part on the finding out what is the basic based on the season, based on the location, based on the type of work, what is the kind of cost, right? And how this could be beneficial for both truckers as well as the enterprises, what would be the right price. And apart from that, interface and interaction with the customers. So what the next step what we're looking at is an NLP, on how the customers can interact with our applications naturally, rather than just menus and clicks and other things. It would be more on a very natural conversation, and they will be able to create any job, and they can also allocate what is their necessary capacity, get it performed, and complete the job.
Right. Also, since you mentioned that there was a dot-com era and now we are in the AI era, so we can definitely say that there comes a saturation point in each technology or each kind of new trend. So, do you think that AI will have a saturation point, or like how long will it really go?
So I think, see, the term AI is pretty broad. I mean, whatever is being now has become a buzz is something. Maybe after few of these OpenAI and other companies which have actually come, people started utilizing it, and it has reached to masses. Okay, so there will definitely be maturity which will comes in, and probably it would transform into something else. People might call it beyond what it is. So I don't think any of these are like plummeting. So there would always be maturity, even if you look at .com and other things, right? That was just anybody having a website becomes a .com, right? It's not like that. It's the back end. What is the application and how are you running it? How is the user experience? How you're actually making a product better? How you're delivering it better? How you can actually bring your cost low? So that has now matured into the next level. That's what I would see. I would not say it's kind of end of thing. Yes, there may be some technology ends, like for example mainframes, right? After mainframes, now it came out cloud infrastructure. Now it will go beyond that. So those will be on the infrastructure sides. There will be things, but as an overall on the scene of the technology, it will just keep on maturing.
All right. Also, if we talk in terms of human resource and employment, so do you think that AI is impacting the SaaS industry?
As I said, specifically we need to tune it and tame it, right? You can have a wild horse, or you can have a horse which is perfectly tuned to do a particular act, right? So it all depends where and how you wanted to use it, right? You wanted to keep it to the rules of the jungle, or you wanted to actually civilize it, right? So I believe we can use this for upskilling, right? We can always use certain intensive jobs to these machines. And what, like for example, any catastrophe, natural calamities, there are catastrophes there. In those cases, bringing humans into that situation may be difficult, but using some of these tools, you may be finding out how and best intervention can be made, right? So these will be the positive things what we should look at.
Okay, so since you said that there will be like there will be uses of AI where we can probably use it to upskill people and to
Yeah.
use it in certain cases. So don't you think that it is really replacing people? Like how you as a entrepreneur is maintaining and
So
balancing that?
every startup, every new idea will all obviously replace something old. Okay, it need not be AI alone. Okay, AI might actually accelerate some things, but I would not say that would be the sole reason of doing things today. As of today, maybe my version might change as over the years, like couple of years. If we see this becomes more powerful, it is okay. But if it becomes draconian, then we are a bit more worried.
So, if we talk about the recent developments in the AI space, so the cult in the industry, the AI industry, these people are really thinking of not developing AI further. Why? Because they're scared of that it will then impact humans. So, do you think that AI can be developed to an extent that it will really replace the thought process, like
I
of
believe
humans?
so. I believe so. I think, see, we at any new junctions, I mean, this AI thing, what we are talking about, has started almost a decade ago. It's not that it started now. Okay. So over the decade, people have come to, this was a time when IBMs of the world were actually working on to just improve the comprehension of one single sentence, what I speak, right? Comprehending that and understanding that and actually coding that into a machine readable part itself took so long a time, right? So it is in a very, very early stage of this. So definitely, I think we should let it improve. But as I said, this has to be observed. This has to be now very carefully validated what it can do and what it can take into, and it can be introduced into many new areas which we were not able to even think of a solution earlier.
All right. Coming to your business, like Cogos, does
Mhm.
it really, do you really think that AI or other such technology has impacted the, costing of your business?
Not yet. As I said, these are still in a very early stage. Not yet. There could be some. I mean, as I'm telling that, the tasks which are very laborious, tasks which are very monotonous, and just it's a documentation related. Those can be automated. I mean, I don't want to name them AI. Okay, automation is there, deep learning is there, right? These are the two parts we can actually look at. AI is a term which used in a broader sense, people put it. But on my business, yes, there has been a lot of automation which we have put in, which will definitely help. Like, for example, if hundreds and thousands of drivers are trying to reach out to find an answer, right? It's highly impossible. You actually have thousands of employees actually answering those calls, and not all those employees will have all the knowledge about it, right? So even when we need to do that, we can actually give the specific insight. Like if somebody is asking about, hey, the app is not working, or we say, hey, what, I'm not able to find a proper location of the customer, correct? So in these things we can definitely help out, and it would be much easier if you get a very quick and swift response. If you're trying to find out a location and you suspect this is not the right location, the best thing is what you do is just get onto the app and you try to figure out whether it is the right one or not, correct? So these things can help. Like you can give an alert saying that, hey, this is not the location you were supposed to be. This is probably 300 feet away or 400 feet away. So this itself will help. So in here, you're not replacing anybody. In fact, you are assisting here.
We hope so that it happens the way you said, that it won't replace people. And coming to
No,
the
as I said,
regulation,
yes. See, I mean, there would be displacement of businesses. There would be displacement of people. No doubt about that. But if we don't let a billion, we are billion plus, right? As in India, and we as and also across the humanity, we need to get things ready where we can utilize this, where we can upskill. It will take a long time for machines to replace humans, if that's the aim of it. But I don't think that should be the aim of any of these technologies.
right? Coming to the regulations, which we were talking about earlier. So, as in, like as a tech veteran, like you have been in the tech industry for quite a long time. So, as a tech veteran, what do you really suggest? Like, what should be, if I ask, what should be the top three regulations that you think that should be, imposed on usage of AI?
No, I mean, it would be hard to say what are the top three or four, but what I would say is there is something ethical we have to bring in, right? So,
Right.
yeah, what we need to bring is code of conduct. So that is very, very important. Anybody who wants to develop something on AI or who wants to commercialize a certain AI, they would definitely require a set of ethics that they need to actually meet in. So that would be my foremost thing. It would be hard for anybody to say just on a page of document say that these are all the different rules which we should follow. So until and unless people actually have their that ethics, it's hard. The second part is on any kind of a commercialization. So government can categorize this. There would be multiple different AIs, right? So we could actually have certain categories of them to understand the sector and implication and impact of it. There should not be curbs. The moment you start curbing, the moment you start making it a licensed model, it's going to kill innovation.
All right, so that's it on the AI part. At the same time, your startup Cogos is doing really
Hmm.
well. It won national startup award also last year. So,
Yeah, thank you.
being in such a position, what do you really suggest the new age entrepreneurs? Like, what will be your suggestion to really thrive through the journey? Because the journey is really hectic at times and it is full of challenges. So, what will be your suggestions to really, go through it with some balance?
My only suggestion is whoever wants to get into a startup, most welcome. Okay, but be prepared. It's not a journey for faint-hearted. Okay, and you definitely, I would not say whether it is only hard work or something, but there is one thing which is required in this is very very important is consistency and persuasion. You have to persist. So if you do not have that ability to persist, it would be difficult. So persistence is very 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 important. You would actually see highs and lows in the same day sometimes. So you need to be emotionally well. That is very important. And the third part, any idea, right? Ideas are brilliant, but until and unless they can be executed, the idea has no value. I would really actually value to zero if it's not implementable, not sellable, and not commercializable. So any idea, if people have it, my one and foremost recommendation would be imagine, put yourself in that and think that it's already done. Now try to go and sell. If you're able to sell, it's a good, you can actually take. Or if you actually are close to sell and get some inputs, that is also good. You can improve and try to sell and then get into the product.
That's quite a useful suggestion, I would say. And one last thing I would like to ask is, when we really get into the startup, there is an equal, possibility of getting failed, like
Hmm.
meeting fail. So, what is that mantra or key according to you to really accept that failure? Like, how do you really ensure that you do not really feel down or low and you raise with the same zeal?
Any great startup can actually have a fateful, unfortunate ending too. Not always been on the positive note. See, I have huge appreciation and respect to all the startups. Like, for example, you take in my industry, Rivigo. It did a great job, but unfortunately, the model didn't work well, right? So they had to actually exit on a very low note compared to what they were actually when they were at peak, right? So does it mean that it's a failure? I would say it's no, it's just a high and low, right? Accepting that low, we first, you need to take in that emotion. You should first understand, yes, it it is the reality. Doesn't mean it's a failure. Doesn't mean that you have been a failure. Doesn't mean that your hard work is a failure. What it means is it is not at the right time, or it was not the right model for the right situation. So that's what we have to look at and move on. And unfortunately in India, that is still something is a taboo. If something is a failure, they consider the person as a failure, not necessarily. And there has been first, not first time, second time, third time entrepreneurs being very very successful in startups.
All right, Prasad, it was really nice talking to you, and I would just suggest my viewers to just follow what you have said. Like, be persistent, be consistent, and do not scare of failure. So it's just a
Yeah,
part of your journey. Thank you so much for
yeah.
such great insights, Prasad. It was really nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye.